Ben Smart and Olivia Hope. Disappearance. In the early hours of January 1st, 1998, a group gathered along the waterfront in Picton, New Zealand after a New Year's Eve celebration. Ben Smart and Olivia Hope had spent the night celebrating with friends on the water. As the night ended, they searched for a way back to shore. Witnesses later described the couple boarding a small vessel with a man they did not know. That moment became the last confirmed sighting of them. When they did not return, concerns spread quickly among family and friends. Authorities began searching the surrounding waters and coastline. Investigators worked to identify the boat described by witnesses. Attention later turned to a similar vessel located nearby. The boat was examined carefully for any trace of the couple. No confirmed physical evidence was recovered linking them to it. The ocean and surrounding areas were searched repeatedly over time. No belongings or remains were ever found. Their disappearance remains unresolved. Russell and Shirley Dermond mystery deaths. In early May 2014, Russell Dermond and Shirley Dermond were living quietly inside the Great Water subdivision near Lake Oconee. The Dermonds had lived there for years and maintained a calm routine. When they suddenly stopped answering calls and missed planned activities, concern quickly spread. On May 6th, family members went to check on the home. The property appeared unusually silent. Inside the garage, Russell Dermond was discovered. The scene immediately shocked investigators because of the unusual nature of the crime. Shirley Dermond was nowhere inside the residence. Authorities searched the property carefully for signs of forced entry. No obvious signs of a break-in were found. Then, 10 days later, another discovery was made. On May 16th, Shirley Dermond's body was found in Lake Oconee. Investigators determined her body had been weighed down using concrete blocks. Detectives explored multiple possibilities over the years. The murders of Russell and Shirley Dermond remain unsolved. Barry and Honey Sherman, the Sherman murders. In December 2017, Barry Sherman and Honey Sherman were living in a large home in Toronto, Canada. The couple were well known throughout Canada because of Barry Sherman's pharmaceutical company. Friends and family described the Shermans as active and regularly involved in business and charity work. When they suddenly stopped responding to calls, concern quickly grew. Authorities entered the home and discovered the bodies of both Barry and Honey inside. Early reports suggested there were no obvious signs of forced entry. Investigators spent days processing the property and examining surveillance footage. The case quickly became one of the most high-profile investigations in Canada. Surveillance footage from the area captured an unidentified individual walking nearby around the time of the deaths. That individual was never publicly identified. Years later, the investigation remains active. The deaths of Barry and Honey Sherman remain unresolved. The Lonergan Disappearance. In January 1998, Tom Lonergan and Eileen Lonergan traveled to the Great Barrier Reef during a diving trip. The couple joined a group tour heading into open water for scuba diving. Conditions that day appeared calm and routine. Divers entered the water in small groups, while the tour boat remained nearby. At some point during the trip, Tom and Eileen were accidentally left behind in the open sea. The mistake was not discovered immediately. Hours later, the crew realized the couple was missing. A massive search operation began across the reef and surrounding waters. Search teams recovered some of the couple's diving equipment in the days that followed. No confirmed trace of Tom or Eileen was ever found. The Wonnangatta Valley Mystery. In March 2020, Russell Hill and Carol Clay traveled into the remote wilderness of Victorian high country. They arrived near Wonnangatta Valley and established camp beside a remote river area. Russell regularly stayed in contact with friends using radio equipment, then communication suddenly stopped. Family members became concerned after neither Russell nor Carol returned home. Search crews entered the Victorian high country and began scanning the dense terrain. Eventually, investigators located Russell's campsite. The scene immediately appeared suspicious. Russell's vehicle had been heavily damaged by fire. Personal belongings remained scattered around the location. Months later, human remains were discovered in remote bushland not far from the original campsite. The remains were later identified as Russell Hill's and Carol Clay. Authorities eventually arrested another camper connected to the area. Even after major developments in the investigation, public attention remained fixed on the mystery surrounding the camp. The Setagaya family murders. In December 2000, the Miyazawa family lived in a quiet residential area in Setagaya, Japan. Mikio Miyazawa lived there with his wife, Yasuko Miyazawa, and their 2 young children. On the evening of December 30th, the family remained inside their home as temperatures dropped across the city. Sometime later during the night, someone entered the house. The following morning, a relative visited the home after failing to reach the family. Inside, the entire Miyazawa family was discovered. Authorities quickly sealed off the residence and began processing the scene. The investigation revealed unusual details throughout the property. Investigators later believed the intruder entered through an upstairs bathroom window. Detectives discovered signs that the intruder had remained inside the home for hours after the murders. Food had reportedly been consumed from the family's refrigerator. Items inside the home appeared moved or disturbed. Investigators also recovered numerous personal items believed to belong to the intruder. Clothing, fingerprints, and DNA evidence were all collected from the scene. Authorities even recovered traces of sand believed to have originated from outside Japan. Despite this, investigators were unable to identify the person responsible. The murders of the Miyazawa family remain unsolved.